Hey, thanks for joining us on this Friday. I'm meteorologist Taylor Cox, and today we're talking about storms across the northern portion of the U.S. We're also talking about your tropical outlook. Some things have changed since yesterday, and we'll talk about your weekend weather. But before we get started in that, I do want to mention that we are at Win the Storm in just, 2 weeks away? August 20th through the 22nd. We are very excited to be at Win the Storm again this year. Come by and see our booth. And also, if you have not registered for Win the Storm yet, use code HAILTRACE, all one word, all capitalized, when you go to buy your tickets, and you could get a major discount. Alrighty, let's move on to the forecast here. Today we have another round of storms up to the north. So we saw that hail yesterday in Billings, Montana, a pretty decent hailstorm up there. Could we do that again? Could we do that in Minnesota, Minneapolis, South Dakota? We'll talk about the timeline and the hazards there. Now, all hazards are on the table. We could get that large hail today. We could also get that low tornado risk and a high wind risk as well. As we move into the weekend, we have another chance for storms in Denver tomorrow. So we actually have Kansas City on the radar on Sunday. We've got some big cities in the forecast for this weekend. So we'll talk timeline here in just a few minutes. What happened yesterday? Yesterday, we saw some pretty decent hail up in Montana. Other than that, most of our hail was pretty isolated. North Dakota, pretty isolated. We saw some strong wind in this area. We even saw some isolated hailstorms down into Kansas. Now today we're going to do it all over again, but we're going to move to the east just a little bit. So we're talking about South Dakota, Minnesota, and portions of Wisconsin, but I told you that storm risk could get all the way down into places like Oklahoma and Texas. Now we see these storms, they come off the mountains, right? And they are starting up in places like eastern Colorado, Kansas, Nebraska, but tomorrow we go back to Denver and we talk about storms across Denver, across the panhandle of Oklahoma and Texas. Omaha and Kansas City also in that risk for storms, not once but twice this week on both Saturday and Sunday. So we'll get to that timeline here in just a few minutes, but first I want to get to your now. What is happening right now? Well, it's pretty messy up to the north. Got a low pressure system sitting up there right now. A warm front that's going to help to initiate storms later on today. We've also got a cold front that's moving through that's going to help to initiate storms farther down to the south, right? For the most part, we're pretty dry across the northeast right now. Maybe a few showers and storms out there. Down to the southeast, man, we cannot get rid of the rain in the Carolinas. It looks like you guys are getting a brief break right now, but it has just been shower after shower in this area, making for that flooding risk just consistent, right? Constant in this area. Pretty dry across the plains, but that will change later on today. And holy moly, it's hot out there. 91 here in Oklahoma City, 85 in Denver, 90 in Kansas City, and it's only noon. Yeah, we're just going to get warmer later on today, and unfortunately that heat is not going away anytime soon. Now let's get into the hazards of your forecast, and don't forget, tell us where you're watching from today, comment your weather questions, and we'll try to get to those and really tailor this forecast to wherever you guys are watching from. Let's talk about your significant hail forecast here. Now we're zooming out and we're showing you that significant hail, larger hailstones, could be anywhere from Minnesota all the way down to South Dakota and portions of Iowa and Nebraska. But if we really zoom in here, and again, what you're looking for these darker colors. You're looking for these oranges, you're looking for these red colors. What we're watching for is the central to southern side of Minnesota and then into South Dakota. For the most part, as you go farther down to the south, your storm risk is going to be so isolated, I think it's going to be pretty hard to get any significant hail in this area. We're just not going to get a lot of storms, right? You need storms to get hail, right? So that's what we've done for our hail forecast. We've showed you that these larger hailstones and the best chance to get multiple storms will be up into Fargo, Aberdeen, Sioux Falls, however, a lot more isolated as you head farther down to the south. Could you get one, maybe two larger hailstones out of this? Yeah, I think it's possible. Will most people stay dry? Yes. So there's your hail forecast for today. What about your maximum hail size? We're talking about tennis ball size hail. Again, very, very isolated today. Your lapse rates look great. Your dew point looks great. We've got some forcing from that warm front. However, if these storms become too clustered, that makes your hail sizes go down and your wind speeds go up. So let's actually get into those other hazards here. Let's talk about your tornado risk. Let's talk about your wind risk. From Minneapolis all the way to Fargo, we do have a tornado risk today. I think that these tornadoes may be pretty difficult to see. They may be embedded in a line of storms, which are some of the most dangerous tornadoes. And especially farther to the east in this hazard graphic here, we could have storms through the late night hours. It's dark at this point. It's very difficult to see tornadoes at this point. So I really want you to be very weather aware for that tornado risk today. We've got a level 2 on a scale of 5 highlighted there in yellow. Talking about the wind risk as well, we could see long lines, and we'll talk about this here in just a few minutes, where we could see some strong wind speeds. Where are we talking about that at? Sioux Falls, Aberdeen, Fargo, and then Minneapolis again. One note about the risk for Minneapolis today, it's a very low hail risk, much higher wind risk, and you've got that low tornado risk as well. Just a little note about the breakdown of your storms in Minneapolis. But let's get into your timeline here. Let's talk about those storms across a good portion of the U.S. today. You can see that we've got storms through the evening hours across the panhandle of Oklahoma, Texas, Kansas. And then again, later on this evening and into the overnight hours, you're going to start to see more widespread coverage of storms across Minnesota and into South Dakota as well. We talked about those more isolated storms. The farther south that you get, you'll see that as we replay your future radar as well. So here's a look at your timeline. Again, for our far northern storms, what are we watching for today? We're watching for storms to go up a little bit later than what we normally see. We normally see storms this time of the year go up around 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. However, I think that our timeline will be pushed a little bit later in the evening. We're talking about dinner time. You're headed to bed. You may have storms out your window. Look at that, Minneapolis. You've got storms coming in around 11, 12 o'clock tonight. These could be waking you up through the overnight hours and into the early morning hours. You may still have the flashes of lightning and rumbles of thunder. Now heading down to the south, just a reminder about that storm risk today. Nebraska, Kansas, all the way down into Oklahoma. Let's talk about timeline a little bit earlier. The farther south that you go, I think that these are really feeding off the heat of the day. So again, that 2, 3, 4 o'clock time zone, that's whenever it's the hottest. That's when you're going to see storms today. Alrighty, where are we going next? I think that we're going to talk about the flooding risk next. Let's go up to the north. Let's talk about that level 2 flooding risk up in the northern portion of Minnesota today. That's going to come through the late night hours tonight. It's going to be dark whenever we have the biggest flooding risk. For tomorrow, we've got just to the north of Chicago included in this flood risk, and then just to the north of KC as well. However, Kansas City is included in that level 2 flood risk on Sunday. So again, just a reminder that we've got 2 risks for storms in Kansas City this weekend, one on Saturday and another on Sunday. What about tropics? Have you guys been following the very, very active both Pacific and Atlantic tropical season? Just within the past week, we've seen a lot more activity over here. Now we can talk about Henriette. A lot of people have been watching its track as it gets a little bit closer to Hawaii. Now here's the good news. I think it's going to go to the north. It could produce some strong waves or some larger waves in Hawaii. But for the most part, you're not going to feel the impacts of this storm. It's moving to the west right now at about 17 miles an hour. A little bit fast for a tropical storm, but not too much out of the ordinary. Moving off to the Atlantic now, we have Invest 96L. Now what this means is that we are interested in this tropical wave. That's all that it is right now. It's not a tropical storm. It's not a tropical depression. We're just interested in this wave right now. It's moving to the northwest at about 18 miles an hour, pretty decent speed. As it continues to move up to the northwest, as it gets into the middle of the Atlantic, we have a 50% chance for this to turn into something interesting. Tropical cyclone, tropical depression, tropical storm. I'm not too terribly worried about it because where is it? It's out in the middle of the ocean. It's a fish storm. So we'll see what happens. We have another chance for some sort of tropical cyclone, but it's only a 10% chance just off the east coast here, so I'm also not too terribly worried about that. And Dexter, just a few clouds now. Dexter, not too impressive. You can still kind of see the circulation on the very edge of our map here, but we are no longer interested in this storm either. So we've got a lot of activity going on, but nothing that's going to impact a ton of people. Great news, right? Well, when our next storm, what is that going to be named? Aaron. After that, we've got Fernand. After that, we've got Gabrielle. Now, all of these storms, the National Hurricane Center and Hail Trace experts here, we're still expecting to see several named storms for the rest of the year. I think our total was 8 to 16 for this year. What do we think? Maybe, yeah. We have that on our YouTube channel. So if you're wondering about our 2025 hurricane forecast, head over to our YouTube channel and check that out. I don't know the numbers off the top of my head, but what I can tell you is we're just getting started. Take a look at this. Our usual, so climatologically speaking, our normal number of hurricane and tropical storms will increase this time of the year. Very, very normal for this time of the year. We are just getting started. And the National Hurricane Center, Hail Trace experts have said the exact same thing. We are just getting started, and we should expect more activity in the Atlantic as we head into the rest of August and the rest of September. Now let's take it back to the weekend, right? Everyone's looking forward to the weekend. What's going to happen this weekend? Brand new information. We just got an upgrade from a marginal to a slight risk just outside of Denver tomorrow. Perfect timing. Contraband Ghost. What a name. Contraband Ghost. Happy Friday, y'all. Anything in Denver? Well, you're jumping in at the perfect time. Let's just zoom right down into Denver tomorrow. We have a chance for storms in Denver in the afternoon and evening. Just give me 1 second here. We'll zoom right down. In 3, 2, 1, there we go. Okay, so we're gonna see storms in Denver tomorrow. Here you go, here's your timeline. 7:30 tomorrow morning, you wanna get out, go to the farmer's market. It's gonna be dry, it's gonna be hot, but you can get out there, drink lots of water. Storms are going to form in the afternoon and evening. Now let me remind you that we have a marginal risk for Denver, but just to the southeast, that slight risk begins. And you can see that we do have a better chance for storms just to the southeast of Denver here, starting in Castle Rock, going into Lehman and Wiggins. That's where you could see more storm coverage. Not just through the afternoon and evening, but you could also see some overnight storms where we're going to continue to see that coverage a little bit more widespread as we head into the late night hours. It's dark, you could have flashes of lightning and rumbles of thunder through the overnight. And there's your severe storm forecast. I know that everyone wants to get out for the weekend too. What's it going to look like in terms of temperatures? We may cool down just a few degrees. It's barely going to be noticeable over the next few days. Unfortunately, we're sticking with this warm trend as we head into the later portion of August. So we're talking about the third week of August. It's still going to be warm. Temperatures for this weekend, we're talking about 90s, triple digits, 92 in Kansas City. That rain's going to feel pretty good up there. 102 in Oklahoma City, 100 in Dallas. Oh, it's just so hot this weekend. Unfortunately, this warm weather is not going to go away anytime soon. We have a really, really good chance for temperatures to be above average as we head into the middle of August. So we're talking about the second to third week of August right here. Oklahoma City, St. Louis, Chicago, all the way up to the northeast, most of the southeast, also hotter than average. Unfortunately, we're looking at some dry conditions out on the west coast. We would love to see a little bit of rain here this time of the year. It's staying dry. We've seen this trend very, very common over the last few weeks. It's going to continue into the next few weeks. It's very dry on the west coast, and that's going to increase the fire chance as well. And if you've seen our forecast before, this is where we end. If there are any other weather questions, we're pretty good about hopping back on after the forecast and answering those for you. So if you have questions about Denver this weekend, Kansas City this weekend, maybe Minneapolis tonight, we'll try to answer those questions for you over the next hour or two. So comment those questions in the comment section below from wherever you're watching, and make sure that you follow us on all forms of social media. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok, and give us a call if you're interested in a hail, wind, or tornado map. All of those storms from yesterday are mapped and available for you at hailtrace.com. So if you're interested in getting set up with a subscription, give us a call at 855-334-4245 or email us at info@hailtrace.com. All right, thanks for joining us on this Friday. We will keep you updated on storms this evening and through the weekend. Follow us, and we'll see you back here, same time, same place on Monday.